There's a stage of business ownership that nobody really warns you about. It's not the startup chaos, and it's not the early survival phase. It's the stage where the business works, but it only works because of you. Revenue is coming in, the team is there, clients are being served. From the outside, it looks stable, but inside, you're carrying most of it. The decisions, the pressure, the mental load. And what's strange is this often happens after you've made it past the risky years. So this is the quiet trap of success. And I see this pattern a lot with owners that I work with. They didn't build a bad business. They built a good one. They're capable, they're smart, they're driven, they care deeply about their customers. But over time, something subtle happens. They become the glue. Every important decision runs through them. Big client conversations default to them. Team members bring things to them, even when they probably could have handled them themselves. And because they're competent, it works until it doesn't, right? So here's what usually triggers the discomfort. It's not a crisis. It's something smaller. You go on holiday and you don't really switch off, or you're checking emails, answering WhatsApp, taking the quick call. Maybe your partner says something to you. You tell yourself it's just temporary, but it keeps happening. Or maybe it's a Saturday morning. You're technically switched off, but your mind isn't. You're not present with the kids. You're thinking about cash flow, or a staff problem, or a big proposal that hasn't signed yet. Or it's a Sunday night and you're not looking forward to the next day. So this is the stage where owners start to feel successful, but not free. And this is important, right? Because the problem is not effort. Most owners I meet are not lazy. They're working hard. The problem is structure. So the business is commercially successful. The structure, but structurally, if you like, structurally it's fragile. Fragility doesn't show up in revenue. It shows up in concentration. If too much decision making, too much client trust, too much knowledge sits with you, then the business depends on your constant presence. And that's not a scale issue. That's an architectural or an architecture issue. It's easy for me to say. It's an architecture issue. So here's where it gets interesting. Most owners respond to this stage in one or two ways. So the first one, they push harder, because that's what we know, right? Is how to work harder, work longer hours, more involvement, more oversight, which sort of just reinforces their dependency. And the second option is they distract themselves. New ideas, new projects, new revenue streams, but they don't fix the core structure problem. So the complexity increases, but freedom doesn't. And what actually changes at this stage? Not motivation, not hustle, not better time management. It's clarity on what only you should be doing, what decisions should move down a level. Most businesses don't need more effort. They need fewer, better decisions and clearer ownership. So when you look at businesses that genuinely run without the owner, they aren't less ambitious. They're more structured. Meetings are intentional. Numbers are visible. Roles are defined properly. There's clear responsibility for every individual in the business. Expectations are agreed, not assumed. And here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of owners say that they want freedom, but structurally, they're still choosing control, because control feels safe, even if it's exhausting. We stick with what we know, right? And so there's a shift that has to happen at this stage. You move from being the best operator in the room to being the architect of the room. That means less reacting, more designing, less answering questions, more building systems that make the questions not necessary in the first place. So less being needed every hour, more building capability in others, building their ability. This is where real productivity shows up, not activity, but impact. So let me frame it in a simple way. If you disappeared for 4 weeks, what would break? Be honest. Would revenue drop down? Would decisions stall? Would clients panic? Would your leadership team hesitate? So the answer you've got there tells you whether your business is scalable or just dependent. And dependency is expensive, not just financially, but emotionally, right? So mentally, personally, one of the most powerful outcomes I see with clients isn't revenue growth, it's this. They go away and nothing dramatic happens. The team makes decisions, the business runs, the clients are served, and they come back. It's not chaos. In fact, things have moved forward. They come back to progress. And that's not accidental, that's by design. So if you're in that stage right now where the business works, but you're tired, you're not failing, you're just at the next layer. And the solution isn't to work harder. It's to restructure how decisions flow, how accountability is set, how success is measured, how leadership is shared. That's the work that creates real space, not a fantasy of space, but real structured space. Because ultimately, the goal isn't just growth, it's freedom, not escape, not disengagement, is that a word? But the ability to step back without everything wobbling. So, for example, to finish a holiday without anxiety creeping in on the last day. God, I know what that used to feel like. To trust that the business you built can stand on its own feet. If this resonates, it's probably not because your business is broken, it's because it's grown. And growth exposes structural challenges. The question isn't how do I work harder, it's what needs redesigning that are not the center of everything. So what needs redesigning so I'm not the center of everything? That's a different conversation. And it's the one that actually changes things. Thanks for watching. And if you're an owner that's at that stage, successful but stretched, and you're serious about building something that works without your constant input from you, have a look at some of the other videos on this channel or reach out for a chat. No pressure, just clarity, because clarity is where the shift starts.